Good morning, August 3rd, 2023. I have crossed the time zone. It is 8:40 here in Tennessee. And I have some time before I have to see this patient a little bit. So I just been looking a lot into the fourth turning of America, which is the season that we're in right now. And we experience eras, so to speak, that are usually about 80 years long. And those eras are broken up into generations, 20-year segments. The first being the high, and those periods always have followed a world war. The last one being following, which began in that high period, following World War II. That period is called high. The next period, the next 20-year segment, is called the awakening. The one following that is called the unraveling. And the last one is called crisis. And they sort of mimic seasons: spring, summer, winter, and fall. Makes sense, right? Each being a generation 20 years long. The last era, like I said, began with World War II, the end of World War II. The one before that, the end of the Civil War, and the one before that, the end of the Revolutionary War. And here we are in the last 20 years of that era or cycle, which is called the fourth turning, which is winter. And we know, I didn't watch the show, but Winter is Coming came from that show on TV. I forgot the name of it. But everybody was saying winter is coming. And of course, it's predictive programming. And that 20-year cycle began in 2008. And yes, the astrology all lines up. So this 20-year period would be from 2008 roughly to 2028. And thus we hear about Agenda 2030, which would begin the next era. From 28 to 30 would begin that turning point of going from winter back into spring. And those four segments of periods of generational time frames in those 80 years have archetypes, the first being the prophets, the second being the nomads, the third being the heroes, and the fourth being the artists. So I would be part of the nomads, and they kind of do a lot of the work. The prophets, being the baby boomers, pretty much kind of have, no period is the best, but they kind of have the greatest opportunity. And you know how they say, hard times make good men make hard times hard. You know how that saying goes, hard times make good men make hard times. However that saying goes, I can't think of it right now, but basically it means that without hard times, we can't change. But then once we experience the ease up of that, we again take advantage and we grow comfort. We grow into our comfort zone, and then hard times have to come again so that we can change again. And so that archetype, those prophet archetypes after the era ends, have the most opportunity basically to capitalize. And those would be the baby boomers. I am from the next generation, which would be the nomads, who basically do a crux of the work of pushing things forward. And that would be summer season, where there's a lot of harvesting and fruit. And I'm in that era. The next era would be from 84 to 2008. and my kids would be in that era, and those are going to be those of the unraveling season, who would be the heroes, because they're actually going to have the hardest time, because they have to come up with solutions. And I see that, manifesting in that generation for sure. And I think COVID obviously was, 2011, 9/11, it was in our backyard. People we knew died. It happened right there where we lived. That was a marking point in 2001 to lead us into 2008. Things don't just happen overnight. They take years, they take seasons to move us into the next. And roughly around 1984 to 2008, these kids, who are my kids, will be of those who will have the hardest, because they're in the unraveling, and they will have to come up with solutions, and they will have it the roughest, but they will probably be the most transformed. And then the next period from 2008 till 2028 to 2030-ish will be the artists who kind of receive, they're the free flyers kind of thing, after the heroes come in. So we are in the fourth turning. We're in the winter season right now, crisis. And that just doesn't happen in 1 year. But from 2008, where we literally saw the financial system die, it died. It has been on false money printing. We died. The world financial system died in 2008. And the central banks have been just printing digital money since then, screen money. So we are now in the time of crisis, or winter, which usually creates a war, and ends that complete era with the end of a war. So this is where we're at. We are heading into winter. We are heading into crisis, or we are in crisis and have been in crisis. And I think because of social media and because of the media, we're being lied to about it. But obviously, we can see the crises all around us. The social crises, the identity crises of humanity, the financial crises, the earth crises that have been, whether they be artificially created or naturally created, and it's all mounting into this winter season. And the heroes are rising up, but right now they are feeling the crunch of it, and they are feeling the death of it, and the weight of it. And I think there's a crying out coming forth from that generation of a crying out to God. So it's bigger than we think. And it's massive. There's a massive migration that happens. There's a massive movement in humanity. There's a massive geographically. Those cities and states that have, and countries that have been on top will come down. Those that have been down will be raised up. Those things that succeeded in the past will be done away with. I mean, we're seeing bankruptcies mounting as never before in history. We will see a recycling of the housing market, even though people believe it will never fall. And we will see the turnover and the destruction, the engineered destruction of this present financial system that has been in place for the last 100 years, with the US dollar being the world reserve currency. And we will go to central bank digital currencies. And that will bring equality and balance to many nations, and it will bring humbling for America. And the promise of that for America is that America will probably, through humbling, go through a very deep period of transformation. So I just wanted to talk about the fourth turning a little bit. This is where we're at. You can Google it. You can look at it on YouTube, listen about it, and hear more about it and understand it a little bit better. But we are heading into winter season, and we have been since 2008, but more so the deep, deep winter season we're in now. in these last several years of this present era, the end of an era and the end of times. So that is all. No heavy revelation today. I'm just going to sign off and wish you all a blessed day.